Inside Barcelona's €1.7 billion Camp Nou makeover, it was once called the greatest cathedral of football. But in 2022, Camp Nou was declared unfit for modern glory. Now, FC Barcelona isn't just fixing cracks in the concrete, they're launching a €1.7 billion transformation to build the most advanced stadium on earth. Bigger than Bernabeu, smarter than Tottenham, and bold enough to shake European football to its core. But behind the renderings lies a brutal truth: spiralling costs, construction chaos, and one question nobody wants to ask: can Barça actually afford this? Camp Nou isn't just getting a facelift, it's being ripped apart and rebuilt from the ground up, in the middle of Barcelona's most chaotic financial chapter in history. The old bones of the legendary stadium are being replaced with glass, steel, and smart systems that would make a tech CEO blush. The numbers are staggering: €1.7 billion in total cost, making it the most expensive stadium renovation in football history. The goal? To turn Camp Nou into the largest, smartest, most immersive football experience ever attempted on European soil. And this isn't just about more seats. The new Spotify Camp Nou will seat over 105,000 fans in a fully covered, hyper-connected bowl. Every seat is wired. Every wall breathes data. And the roof, yes, there's a roof now, is covered in 30,000 square meters of solar panels, powering an energy system that's almost entirely self-sufficient. This is no longer just a stadium, it's a digital fortress, a revenue-generating machine, a multi-use temple for sport, music, politics, and corporate power. But here's the twist. When the project launched in 2022, Barça had just mortgaged its future to stay afloat. They were selling club assets just to afford players. So how do you go from financial desperation to funding the most extravagant stadium in football? The answer lies in high-stakes borrowing. The club secured a massive financing deal led by Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, totaling over €1.45 billion. It's structured like a corporate gamble. Bet on future revenues from luxury boxes, concerts, and NFL-style experiences to pay it all back over time. In theory, it works. In practice, it's an insanely risky bet. Even some insiders called it financial fantasy football. Yet when you stand inside the construction site today, watching the old Camp Nou vanish under cranes and steel beams, it's clear this is more than marketing hype. Barça is building a colossal legacy project, one that either cements its place as a global titan or drags it into deeper crisis. Because every month of delay adds millions in cost. Every unexpected glitch, from old foundations to neighbourhood protests, tightens the financial noose. The vision is bold, the execution still uncertain. And we haven't even touched the tech integrations, underground arenas, or the digital twin model that simulates every second of stadium operations. That's next. Camp Nou opened in 1957 with ambition carved into its concrete. But for the next 60 years, that ambition never evolved. What began as a jewel of Catalan pride slowly turned into a creaking colossus, an architectural relic that looked glorious from a distance, but crumbled under modern scrutiny. By the 1990s, it was clear Camp Nou was falling behind. The Bernabeu was already being modernized. Across Europe, new stadiums were rising, faster, smarter, safer. Barcelona, meanwhile, kept patching cracks in the walls and hoping no one would notice. But fans noticed. The bathrooms were prehistoric. The seats were narrow and faded. Accessibility was a nightmare. The digital infrastructure, virtually non-existent. Visiting Camp Nou started to feel like a pilgrimage to the past, not a step into the future. And yet, nothing changed. Renovation proposals came and went. In 2007, President Joan Laporta unveiled the first grand redesign, a futuristic shell wrapped in mosaic panels backed by British architect Norman Foster. It was beautiful, expensive, and completely doomed. The global financial crisis hit the following year. Plans were shelved, dreams were boxed away, years passed, club presidents changed, designs were tweaked, budgets were slashed. Every few seasons, a new blueprint would emerge, only to die under the weight of politics, recession, or fan revolt. Meanwhile, the stadium decayed. By 2015, the club finally approved the by Barça plan, a massive redevelopment of the stadium and its surrounding area. This version was more grounded, less flashy, but delays plagued it from the start. Bureaucratic slow walking, disputes with local residents, and of course, the one blow no one expected, the COVID-19 pandemic. As football stopped and the world shut down, Camp Nou's cracks deepened, both literal and metaphorical. Without matchday revenue, the club's finances collapsed. Lionel Messi left, Joan Laporta returned, and what he found was not just a failing team, but a stadium on the verge of disrepair. Structural engineers quietly warned the board sections of Camp Nou were no longer safe. Concrete supports were eroding. Steel reinforcements were rusting. In some places, rainwater had been seeping through for years. And when you have over 99,000 people sitting on a structure like that, you're playing with risk. It became unavoidable. Camp Nou couldn't just be updated. It had to be reimagined, reinvented from the foundations up. But this wasn't just a construction project, it was a resurrection. Because buried beneath the decades of rust and delay was a deeper problem, the club's own fear of letting go of the past. Camp Nou wasn't just a stadium, it was a shrine. Touching it felt sacrilegious. And yet, by clinging to nostalgia, Barça nearly lost the future. Now they're tearing it all down, not just to fix what's broken, but to prove that Barcelona can evolve, even if it risks everything to do it. The new Camp Nou isn't just a rebuild, it's a revolution in concrete, code and commerce. Imagine walking into a stadium where your seat recognizes you, your phone unlocks exclusive live angles, and your beer arrives before you finish ordering it. This isn't science fiction, it's Barcelona's €1.7 billion vision for the future of sport. Every detail has been engineered for total immersion. Over 105,000 seats, all covered by a floating solar-powered roof. It's not just shade, it's a massive energy system feeding sustainable power into the entire stadium complex. And it's ringed with LED panels that can transform the building into a living billboard, a visual fireworks show, or even, yes, a giant Spotify equalizer pulsing to fan chants. Speaking of Spotify, this isn't just a naming rights deal, it's an ecosystem. A digital stadium experience where your playlist merges with your ticket, your seat syncs with your Spotify account, and fans become part of the club's media machine. Every visit generates data, preferences, habits, passions, and the stadium learns from them. At the heart of it all is the digital twin, a real-time virtual replica of Camp Nou powered by AI. It monitors traffic flows, crowd density, bathroom wait times, food orders, energy usage, even acoustic resonance. The stadium watches itself like a living organism, predicting problems, tweaking efficiencies, adapting to you. But this is still football, and the pitch? It's sacred. The new Camp Nou retains the famous pitch dimensions, but wraps it in 360-degree LED boards, retractable tech stages for concerts, and VIP lounges so close to the action they nearly touch the grass. It's intimate and infinite all at once. The redesign also includes a new 12,500-seat Palau Blaugrana, an elite indoor arena for basketball, concerts and Olympic-level events. The surrounding area becomes the by Barça district. Open plazas, shops, museums, rooftop restaurants, and even a Barça-themed hotel. This isn't a stadium anymore. It's a multi-sport, multimedia, mega-city, shaped like a football dream and powered like a Silicon Valley startup. But as the scale grows, so do the doubts. Because technology this advanced doesn't just cost money, it costs time. Every innovation adds another moving part. Every digital integration is another system that could fail, delay, or drain the budget. And with over 25 different contractors coordinating across layers of architecture, engineering, data, hospitality, and entertainment, one misstep could turn this dream into a €1 billion bottleneck. Barcelona promised the future, but can they build it? Because coming up next is the real challenge, the chaotic construction zone where that vision collides with the brutal reality of deadlines, dust, and the debt clock ticking louder every day. The renderings are breathtaking. The vision is historic. But reality? It hits hard. And it hits fast. The second demolition crews began peeling back the bones of the old Camp Nou. The trouble started. Hidden infrastructure problems, delays in permitting, soaring material costs, and the quiet panic of a club trying to look like it's in control, while scrambling behind the scenes to stay on schedule. Barcelona promised fans they'd return to a completed Camp Nou by 2026. But insiders already know the date is in danger. The project's main contractor, Turkish giant Limak Construction, is working under brutal pressure, tasked with a job that even the most seasoned European firms hesitated to touch. Why? Because Limak has zero experience building football stadiums in Spain. None. That didn't stop Barça from choosing them. Limak offered the most aggressive timeline and the most affordable bid, a tempting combination for a club bleeding cash. But in the construction world, fast and cheap rarely ends well. As steel girders rise into the Barcelona skyline, anxiety rises with them. Every week, lost to weather, permit bottlenecks, or labour disputes pushes costs higher, and those costs were already razor thin. When Barça locked in its financing with Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, interest rates were low. But global inflation changed everything. Construction materials like steel, copper, and concrete have surged in price. The budget? Ballooning. Quietly. Relentlessly. And then there's the pressure from La Liga, from city planners, from the fans, and from UEFA. Because while construction crawls forward, Barcelona's football business doesn't stop. Home games are now played at Montjuic Olympic Stadium, a smaller, colder venue with poor transport links and none of Camp Nou's magic. Attendance has plummeted, revenue has dipped, and fan patience is wearing thin. Politicians, meanwhile, are watching like hawks. This isn't just a stadium, it's a project with urban impact. Noise complaints from neighbours, lawsuits from local groups, environmental assessments causing reroutes mid-dig. At one point, engineers had to halt a foundational pour because of a century-old sewer line that no one had mapped. And still, the marketing continues. The club releases glossy previews, drone footage, animated tours, all while cracks are showing, both literal and financial. If construction delays continue into 2025, the club could be forced to extend its exile from Camp Nou. Every extra month adds tens of millions to debt repayments, and every delay makes it harder to convince sponsors, tourists, and fans that this vision is still intact. For a project built to project dominance, the behind-the-scenes chaos is starting to feel dangerously familiar. Because in football, ambition is inspiring, until it becomes desperation dressed up as design. And now, the question grows louder. What happens if Barcelona's most expensive gamble doesn't finish on time? That answer lies in the next chapter, the economic engine beneath the blueprint, and whether it can survive under the crushing weight of its own ambition. The Camp Nou renovation isn't just a bold investment, it's a lifeline. Because beneath the steel skeleton rising in Le Corps lies something far more fragile than concrete. FC Barcelona's future. And for all the talk of solar panels, luxury boxes, and Spotify partnerships, one truth has become impossible to ignore. This stadium has to work, or the club doesn't. After years of reckless spending, spiralling salaries, and the devastating fallout from Messi's departure, Barcelona's finances weren't just damaged, they were on the brink of collapse. The renovation plan isn't a vanity project, it's a strategic reinvention, an attempt to reboot the club's entire economic engine. The new Camp Nou isn't designed to serve fans, it's designed to extract value from every seat, every square metre, every second of every visitor's experience. VIP suites, retail outlets, corporate events, concerts, data sales, advertising screens, even AR fan experiences monetised through apps. It's a stadium designed like a Fortune 500 startup. And the projections? They're massive. Club officials estimate the new venue could double Barca's matchday revenue, add 200 million euros annually in sponsorships and events, and reposition the club as not just a football brand, but a lifestyle empire. If it works, Barcelona doesn't just survive, it dominates. But that's a big if. Because all of these projections depend on flawless execution, on tourists flooding in, on sponsors staying loyal, on tech systems working without fail, on construction finishing on time, and most critically, on Barcelona returning to the top of world football. Because no matter how advanced the stadium is, it means nothing if the football disappoints. The harsh truth? A club in Europa League doesn't pack a 105,000-seat stadium. It doesn't charge premium suite prices. It doesn't inspire global brands to pour cash into LED panels and metaverse experiments. That kind of attention requires dominance, trophies, spectacle, stars. In many ways, Barcelona is building this future on faith, a belief that prestige will return, and with it, the money to make this 1.7 billion euro machine worth it. But pressure is mounting. Every misstep on the pitch sends tremors through the financial foundation. Every delay in construction echoes in the boardroom. The media is circling. Rivals are watching. And fans? They're no longer just supporters. They're investors emotionally and financially in a club that must now deliver more than football. Because if this project fails, it won't just be a financial loss. It could shatter the identity of one of football's most legendary institutions. And yet, even now, as doubts swirl and deadlines loom, one belief still pulses through Barcelona, like electricity through steel. This stadium will change everything, but will it happen fast enough? Next, we follow the ticking clock and the brutal timeline that could determine whether Barcelona's mega project becomes a miracle or a meltdown. Time is no longer a concept, it's a threat. The moment Barcelona signed the dotted line with Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, the clock started ticking, not in years but in monthly debt payments, hundreds of millions of euros fronted with the promise of future glory. And that glory has a deadline, June 2026. That's when Barcelona promised the full reopening of Camp Nou. That's when sponsors expect deliverables, when naming rights deals go live, when the LED panels start running ads, when premium boxes must be filled. And most crucially, it's when Barca needs matchday revenue to spike, or the entire financial model begins to crack. But construction timelines don't care about football calendars. Every delay compounds the risk. Every missed milestone pushes interest payments higher, and every miscalculation invites the very collapse this stadium was designed to prevent. Insiders are already whispering about slippage, quiet reforecasting, contingency planning. Because despite the sleek marketing videos and bullish press releases, the reality behind the scenes is much messier. Rain delays, supply chain hiccups, labour shortages, licensing backlogs, even international politics, like inflation-driven material price spikes, have thrown wrenches into the schedule. And then there's the architectural ambition itself. A stadium this complex isn't just concrete and steel. It's layers of AI systems, energy grids, data centres, hospitality networks, acoustic engineering, and municipal infrastructure. Everything has to be integrated, flawlessly, timed down to the hour. One system failure can delay 10 others. In traditional stadium construction, you build from the ground up. In Camp Nou's case, you build from the past forward, preserving sections of legacy while threading in the future. A logistical nightmare of balancing nostalgia, compliance, and innovation. All while fans watch from the outside, waiting, and wondering. Will they really be back by 2026? Because if they're not, and if delays stretch into late 2027 or beyond, the financial pressure becomes exponential. Loan interest alone could devour profits for years. Sponsors may start to back away. And fans already displaced and disconnected at Montjuic could begin to emotionally detach. For a club built on passion, that's the deadliest risk of all. But here's the paradox. Barcelona can't afford to rush either. One construction error, one system failure, one unfinished zone when the doors reopen, and the press, the fans, the world will tear the project apart. Because with every new feature promised, expectations rise. And when you position yourself as the future of football, anything less than perfect feels like failure. So now, with less than 12 months of usable construction time left, the club faces the ultimate pressure cooker. Deliver a flawless €1.7 billion stadium, on time, on budget, and under the most intense spotlight in football. No second chances, no grace period. The next move will either define the next era of FC Barcelona or become the most expensive miscalculation in sports history. It stands now as a skeleton of steel and promise, half built, half dream. From a distance, it looks like progress, a future being forged. But look closer, and you see something else. Deadlines stretching, budgets bleeding, contractors scrambling, and the ghost of what Camp Nou used to be, lingering in the dust, watching it all unfold. This isn't just Barcelona's most ambitious project, it's football's most high-risk transformation. If it works, Camp Nou becomes the beating heart of 21st century sport, where legacy meets innovation and where Barca reclaims its crown not just as a club, but as a symbol. But if it fails, it could leave behind the most expensive monument to overreach the sport has ever seen. A €1.7 billion echo chamber of lost glory, empty seats, and unrealised hype. Because in the end, this isn't just about concrete or tech or timelines, so now the world waits. Not for blueprints, not for press releases, but for one answer. Will it rise or ruin